What I tell the women up there is to keep records. Much know about everybody's lifestyle is take their credit card, take an American Express card. Where does he eat? Does he eat in Lisierk or does he eat in the hamburger place? Does he buy the clothes in Better Goodman or does he buy them in Sulka or does he buy them in the, you know pretty much the lifestyle of the person. If the guy suddenly said that he doesn't have money to buy the tie, and the guy is entertaining all around and flying on the private jets, you know that man has something to hide.
But how do you know if your husband's having an affair?
Well, if the man suddenly goes and starts to exercise and loses 1,000 pounds, and he is polishing his nails, and he has the, he goes and he buys the new suits and all that, there are usually signs that it is something out of the character of the person. And if he didn't do it for you, who is he doing for? Whatever it might be, they are the warning signs. And nobody really in relationship should take everything from granted.
Did you see warning signs?
I really didn't. I really didn't.
How interesting. But of course you had, again, a very unusual lifestyle where monies weren't, you didn't look at what he spent on what necessarily, and so it was a very, very odd, different situation.
It was also a very hectic time for both of us because we were both so involved in the businesses because we were building the businesses, and I was up there, to say that if I can help would be great, and let's build the dynasty and let's build the business for our children and all this stuff. We were just, everything was happening so fast.
In your situation particularly, there was another woman involved. That's very hurtful. How do you deal with that?
Well, how do you deal with it? It's hurtful. There is nothing really you can do. There's nothing you can do.
You just have
you try to patch up maybe differences because there might be a man which you might be doing something wrong. This is why he runs away. You try to things, but in my case, it was just so clear, and the trust was broken so badly that I knew that it was just a no way. It could be patched.
There you are, your marriage is breaking apart, but you're still working for your husband. That's a difficult position, isn't it?
Because the concept of the man and woman working together and achieving something together to build for their children and for themselves. They can be together, they can talk about it, they have a lot of interest and all that. The whole concept, it's fantastic. I tell you, it doesn't work.
I interviewed Donald last year, and he said the biggest mistake I made in terms of my marriage was putting Ivana to work for me. He said things just really changed after that.
Really, there should be a way to say, look, Ivana, I don't want you to be in the business. I would do needlepoint. I would go to the top of the Trump Tower and I would raise the most beautiful orchid in the world. I would put my energy into something else.
Donald said something. Ivana had a certain wonderful softness, and she seemed to lose some of that when she went to work.
Well, if you go into work and if you have 4,500 employees and the vice presidents, you cannot be a little pussycat.
Did you find it hard to make an adjustment when you came home to be back to being your wife?
Definitely, because you come home and you have a tough day. Suddenly it becomes, well, you should have done that, and this one, and that was wrong, and this one, and make sure that happens tomorrow. Suddenly the whole romance and whole evening goes because you're talking business and you're talking what has to be done and repaired and this, rather than being romantic with each other.
What did you know when your divorce came? How much did you know? Because I always thought you probably were right in on everything.
Well, I knew quite a bit. I knew the deals, and I knew the financial part of it. I did not know every dollar which was where and how and all that, but I had very good ideas. And if you love the man, and if you are with him, you trust him, and you don't try to. I knew the financial backing, but I never, was in the, say, that okay, we have a joining checking account or this and that. I never was really concerned with that. Woman has to be concerned with that now.
Did you and Donald have a joint checking account?
I really don't want to go.
I'm only curious because I wonder how you even start at day one and do this.
No, we did not have a joint.
Yeah, I wouldn't think you probably did. What do you think is the hardest part about divorce?
For me, the hardest part of it wasn't the question, am I going to be able to take care of myself, because I knew that I could. It wasn't a question of pride per se. It was, for me, it was a failure in something I have done maybe could avoid, because it takes two to tango, as you know, and that was the hardest part for me to really accept.
When did you finally get mad after your divorce? When did the rage come in?
I did not really have a rage. No, I did not have a rage. I was disappointed. So why me? Why did it happen to me? I have been a good girl and I did everything right. I thought maybe. Obviously I didn't, but I thought, so you go through that stage.
You had been married a very long time. It must have been very strange.
So I started with my friends, and then I would go with the couples, and just, you know, just easily ease myself into the social scene, being alone, and be taken that I'm a single woman.
But you did say in the book, actually, that you don't think women should walk into rooms alone or at restaurants.
You know what? It's not because they should not. It's not because it's a rule. You feel awkward.
Yes.
You feel awkward. And I don't care how independent you are, how confident you are. You're walking in the room alone, and everybody's looking and you say, oh, poor thing, she doesn't have a date, she cannot get a date. It's a little bit awkward.
This is an emotional practicality of divorce, because I think it is so hard to sort of gather yourself up again as a woman and go out there. I mean,
It is definitely hard. It's very hard because your confidence as a woman, it's zero.
Gone, right?
It's zero. So in that instant, it's like a zero. But then it does pass. It does pass. It is in, you know, it. Again, like I said, I try to do, and I say, wait a minute, I'm young, I'm not ugly, I'm not ill, I have intelligence. There are millions of the men up there, which I can have a nice relationship with, I can spend time with, I can have fun with, and if I'm all holding to just the idea of being married to the wrong person, that's a wrong idea.
Your divorce was so public, Ivana.
That's what is the hard part of it, yes. I had to be thinking all the time from beginning because of the damage control which I had to do with the press and with everybody and of course the lawyers and all. So I had to be on attention at all times.
You know, you had a terrible year that year, didn't you?
Yes.
Oftentimes, you know, traumas come in cycles, but your marriage broke up.
If it rains, it pours. That's right. This is what they say.
And then your father, who really was not sick at all and whom you adored, suddenly passed away.
By that stage, you know, I was a little bit numb. I was a little bit numb. I was numb from the separation and all the trauma going around and all the, you know, lawyers and all this, the press and all that. I was a little bit numb, and maybe that helped me.
You say in the book you thought the divorce perhaps contributed to your father's heart condition.
Well, I really, you know, that I cannot speculate on that. I just know that my father was devastated.
He was.
My father was humiliated because his pride and joy in his life. I know that he took it very hard. It's just unfortunate it did happen at a time when I did need him most.
How did you compensate for that, Ivana?
You don't. You don't.
How do you feel about prenuptial agreements?
Prenuptial agreements are important from the beginning for the older people, not per se young people, because you do get, in a way, protected.
Your prenuptial, of course, was a huge and public part of your divorce because you had one. And actually, I mean, you were very much in love when you got married. Did you have any qualms about signing a prenuptial?
Well, my prenuptial, I did not understand what I was signing. I was younger and I did not speak very well English. And my parents never had one. It did not exist in communistic Czechoslovakia. I really wasn't sure. What I saw that I was signing is to give the rights to the family for their money, that I would not claim the money of the family.
When did it dawn on you that that wasn't what you signed?
Well, eventually after years, maybe about 10 years into the marriage.
Really? I think a lot of people felt, given your husband's income, that $10 million wasn't very much money for a prenuptial, your prenuptial.
It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because it's plenty for me and for my children to live on. And as I said, I knew I could support myself. I'm not using the money after my the money which I have received. I put it in the children's trust, and I'm supporting myself.
Really?
So that's a good feeling too.
Do you think, though, having been through it, I've never signed a prenuptial because I've never been married either. But do you think it takes the romance away?
In the young couples, it does.
What I think a lot of people felt about your particular situation is you've been living with somebody who was very well known, very successful. Your lifestyle was amazing. I mean, it was just boats and planes and yachts and houses and enormous access to the world. Were you hesitant about giving up that life?
Not really, because I knew that maybe I'm not going to be flying 727s or 747s, but if I want to go to Florida, I will be able to afford my flight ticket.
You are going to get married again. Why? I mean, are you not still a little nervous? Or are you?
Yes, definitely. I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death, but again, you cannot let the divorce and the one disappointment totally affect your life. I don't need men per se for financial support. I don't need men to make the babies. I have 3 beautiful ones. I don't need men for prestige. I think I have one. And what I need men for, it's really for friendship, companionship, and sharing things with.
Will you ask your husband to sign a prenuptial?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Why do you think women relate to you?
I think is because I give the women hope, in a sense. There are so many of them which are through the same situation. They are in much worse position. I think what they like is that, like I said, I did not lie down and died.
One of the biggest casualties of a divorce is losing your trust. How do you get that back?
Well, I tell you, I did not get it back 100% yet. But I don't know if I ever going to regain the total innocence and trusting feelings I had.
Ivana, do you think you're over your divorce?
I'm over my divorce, yes. I'm definitely over my divorce in a way of emotions, definitely. The scars which were left behind because of it, meaning trust, meaning all the things which happen. I don't think I'm over that yet. Like I said, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to trust a single man in my life.